Good evening. My name is Alan R, and tonight I'm facilitating the last session of a series of games organised through the Gauntlet Hangouts calendar. If you're not aware of the Gauntlet, you should look it up. It's an online community of people playing tabletop role-playing games. And if you join the community, you will get to play in some of those games and play with great players like the ones I have with me this evening. This is the fourth and final. It was going to be a 5-part series, but we had some difficulties last time with people being ill and other issues. So we've dropped from 5 to 4. So this is the final session. And it is a session of what I call Night's Black operators. This is using the operator's cinematic role-playing rule set to run games in Ken Hite's Night's Black Agent setting. And we've tweaked the rules for operators to make it slightly more appropriate and more playable in this context. And we think we've got close to making it work. These sessions have been scaffolded by part of a Pelgrane Press mini campaign published for Night's Black Agents called the Zalozhiny Quartet. I titled the series the Lisky Bratva because it has involved the players finding out and confronting aspects of a Russian mafia organization linked, they are confident, to the vampire conspiracy that Night's Black Agents is built on. If you want to know more about the setting, then please listen to one of the earlier sessions because we filled out some of the details there. For now, I simply want to remind people that we are playing with the X card as our principal safety tool. I know the players know about that and are familiar with it. And we also agreed some lines and veils in previous sessions which are still in place. Lines that won't appear in the fiction, veils that may appear, but at which point we'll draw a veil, a curtain across so we don't see the gory details on screen. So without much further ado then, I'd like to ask the players to introduce themselves and tell us something briefly about the character they're playing and have played. So order of the character keeper, as usual. Sabine, would you like to say hello and introduce us to Dylan?
Hi, I'm Sabine. I use any pronouns. I'm playing Dylan Hapst. He uses he uses he/him pronouns, mostly, at least. Dylan is an underground operative, a cuckoo, like somebody who gets into people's confidence and then makes them do unfortunate things and then betrays them. Charming guy. He really is charming. You shouldn't trust him though. What has he been doing? Mostly wearing different hats, really. So.
Yeah, he is absolutely charming to the point of being dangerously charming. Moving on, Pavel, say hello and tell us about Karl Smith.
Hello, I'm Pavel, and I'm playing Karl. Karl is the wet worker, meaning a trained assassin, killer from Polish Grom Special Forces. He's been betrayed by his colleagues when he found out too much about vampire conspiracy, and he's now with this wonderful crew trying to bring down whatever is possible. He's like a guy that is close to his 30s. He has this like really large beard. He wears often in a camo or tactical clothes. And I think that's it.
Yes.
And last time we have seen him use his grenade launcher to blow up a truck full of vampire supporters. So it was cool.
He did indeed. A carefully aimed rocket-propelled grenade, as I remember. Okay, moving along. Puckett, say hello and tell us about Mia Smith.
Hi, I'm Puckett, he/him pronouns. I'm playing Mia Smith, she/her pronouns. She is a hacker who at this point appears to have been almost entirely cut loose by the CIA because she refuses to let these conspiracy theories die, even though she's actually seen vampires killing people. Hey, evidence. What are you going to do with it, right? Fact-based reality. Anyway, she is not much less snotty than she was as a teenager, and she is still searching for any sign that her mom, Junie Smith, might be alive since she disappeared under mysterious circumstances even though she's presumed dead. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And I omitted to show us a picture of Dylan because he's a pretty cool dude. There he is, charming in his hat. Okay. So, so far, the characters started this series in what they thought was a fairly straightforward information gathering mission in Odessa, in the Ukraine. After that went south, they've been, depending on which way you look at this, they've either been on the run or they have been pursuing leads. I think the characters think they've been pursuing leads, and I will go with that. They pursued those leads into Transnistria in eastern Romania. And there they found some more leads and a friend called Mr. Happy, a fixer. And then they set off, they thought, on a run to Vienna, where they have good reason to believe there will be a safe house where they can be safe from the conspiracy and the Lisky Bratva, who are now pursuing them. En route, in the last session, they found evidence of human trafficking by the Bratva, and following that lead, found an ancient deserted monastery where bad things were being done. And most significantly, they found firm evidence for what they'd already thought was the case, that the Bratva was making a variety of vampire called a Zalozhiny. These come from Russian myth, and they are those who died out of their time. And certainly they now have found some evidence that, whether deliberately or by accident in certain circumstances, the Zalozhiny can appear to affect time and electronic devices when they're in their vicinity or when they're doing certain things. And their only confrontation with the Zalozhiny so far showed them to be pretty much unkillable, but they did manage to drive it off. So with that, the last lead that Mr. Happy gave them was to a journalist blogger in Debeken, a town, city in eastern Hungary. Her name is Agi Kazuras, and he was fairly confident and certainly gave Mia some links to some of her work, some of her blogs. And about 3 months ago, her investigative journalism blog actually named the head of the Lisky Bratva, Josef Lisky, and Dr. D.G. Dorjiev, who the characters are pretty confident is Lisky's second in command and the creator of the Bratva's Zalozhiny. And so I am going to hard frame the characters, as this is our final session, into Debeken Zoo. They have found Agi Kazuras. She's living, feels like she's living in a number of different places. Could be she's sofa surfing to stay ahead of the Bratva. But they have tracked her down and followed her as far as Debeken Zoo. And I just want to know, who is doing the eyes on? Who's on the ground keeping an eye on Agi Kazuras, waiting for an opportunity to approach her?
I can do that. I'm pretty good at keeping eyes on people and approaching people.
And can you tell me, Dylan, what do we see? What does Dylan look like as he's trailing Agi Kazuras? What's his current cuckoo disguise?
I imagine Debeken is not a large town with a huge draw for tourists, right? So people at the zoo are mostly local yes. people. Okay. Yes. So then I think he will look like a local person, maybe office worker on his day off or something, jeans, t-shirt, hat, of course. Nothing that really stands out much.
That's fine. And Karl, where are you in this effort to keep eyes on and or manufacture a meeting with Agikazouras?
I'm trying to think whether he's in the sniper nest. Zoo. Is there any place to hide inside the zoo full of people?
Well, I mean, this is a city, not a town, so it is not tiny. The zoo is probably the largest one in Eastern Hungary. So there are a variety, there's the full range of, there's a couple of elephants, there's an area of the zoo given over to big cats, and there's, shall we say, there is an enclosed kind of aviary section. And it might be possible to place Karl up on the top of that aviary structure, because there'll be a number of fairly substantial supporting towers, if you will.
I need to ask, what is aviary?
Oh, sorry, somewhere to contain birds. So I think we could put him up, if he wants to be up a height, we could put him up there. Failing that, the best I can offer is probably on the roof of the 2-story restaurant shop. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to say that I think he is on the first level of this 2-story. He's on the second level of this 2 stories cafe restaurant, although he's sitting by the table on the balcony that he has like a view on the zoo. He's just like sitting there drinking coffee. He looks kind of like an awkward, a man with like a sunglasses, a hat, a jacket with like a high collar, and a very strangely looking bag that's next to him that could contain something larger caliber if needed. It looks like it looks like a bag for a gym, but like a really big. He's sitting there just like keeping an eye on the zoo.
So something that you could probably get an ice hockey stick into, say, or something like that, yeah?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because that's all that's in there, isn't it? An ice hockey stick. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And so I guess that he will have got himself there and will have seen Agikazouras come into the zoo, and we'll see Dylan, just shadowing, ghost-like through the crowds. Mia, where are you?
Tracking her digitally. I mean, let's be realistic. Journalists like to think they know something about OPSEC, but their phones are just garbage. I mean, compromising their phone is just... Could you give me something more difficult to do, please?
So let's see just how well that goes, shall we?
You'd like me to make a roll?
Yeah, please roll to hack, because I want to know how many pluses you have in the bag to spend in the scene that's going to unroll before us. Yeah.
All righty.
And just to set a clear picture, are we just like following her and just like hoping that we will have an opportunity to meet her here, or do we have some established meeting with her over here?
You haven't managed to make contact with her yet.
Okay.
But you were able to track her down, and so far she spent all her time in crowds, and I'll come back to that in a moment. And so the idea, I think, is for Dylan to track her, to follow her in here and look for an opportunity to make an approach. Seem fair? Yes. So what I missed? 2 pluses and a minus for Mia. Mm-hmm. So with hacking 1, that leaves 1 plus for you to deploy during this scene to reflect the fact that you have hacked her phone now and are tracking her using it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm inclined, because Mia only has 4 complications, and just for our viewers, when characters roll minuses on their fate dice, I can either use those minuses now to establish a bit of narrative control, or I can stock them up for later, because it's one of the ways that the supernatural is powered. So I've got a clear idea of what's going on. Dylan, just how busy is the zoo?
I think it's maybe it's a work day, so it's not terribly busy. I mean, there's maybe a group of bored teenage school excursion field trip kids there who are taking pictures, mostly of themselves, and some older people who just sit in the zoo and play chess or look at the lions and bet on whether they're falling asleep or not, or something like that.
Grandparents wheeling children around because their parents are at work, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay. Dylan, you're concealing yourself. You're trying to be somebody else. So I think that's probably conceal, isn't it?
Is it?
What would you like to go with?
I don't know. I'm not really trying to conceal myself. I mean, I'm out in the open.
Okay, look, I'll tell you what, I've got a better idea. Will you roll to surveil, please?
Yeah, I will do that, because I'm just pretending to be a guy looking at his phone all the time, yeah. Because that's not very hard to conceal yourself from somebody who doesn't know you. Oh yeah, I'm good at surveilling. I've got you've got a minus to play with, and I've got 2 pluses. So
okay, well, I'm going to use that minus. Because I'm going to say that you think you're not the only person following Agi Kazouras.
Fine.
What do you want to do with your second plus?
I want to know who's the other person following Agi Kazouras.
Yeah, they're not as good as you. They are. Shall I describe him as a burly man trying not to stand out?
I'm sending a picture of him to Mia, just to find out who he is.
Fine. Mia, do you want to use one of those plus? Oh no, those are for hacking the phone. I'll come back to you in a moment to see whether you can pin down anything about him. Karl, you can see this because the whole thing about this restaurant, it gives an overview of the zoo. So while it's not perfect because you're not that high up, you can see Dylan. And, occasionally Dylan drifts out of view as he goes behind a tree or around a corner or behind a pen. Likewise, Agi. Mia, what do you make of the photograph that Dylan has sent you?
Give me 2 moments. Let me re-roll. I'm going to see if I can get back into the CIA's database and find out anything on this from photo ID, from recognition. 2 pluses, a minus, and a blank.
Then 1 plus gets you in, and the other one, I guess, you're going to use to ask me who it is.
I mean, I don't know. I thought I might look up to see if the director had posted any naughty pictures on the intranet, but yeah, I guess I could do that. So who is this schlub, and why is he following Agi?
He's flagged in the CIA database as a likely member of Bratva.
Of course he is.
Yeah, you probably knew that, but it's nice to have it confirmed. And the minus, if I hang on to that minus, then it makes all of you at 6, which makes life so much more symmetrical. So Dylan, she's being followed by somebody else. You're pretty confident you've seen him. He hasn't noticed you. What do you want to do, Dylan?
I think it's time to get her out of here before this other dude snatches her up. I'm a bit worried for her.
Do you want to do it a little bit more quietly?
What do you have in mind?
I can just text her and say, there's a dude with a hat named Dylan coming to get you. You know who I am. I wouldn't send you somebody who's not going to get you out of there, but you need to get out of there.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, just before you do that, Puckett, I'm going to spend a complication I now have, and that complication I just packed up on Mia. I'm going to spend a complication to say, Mia, at the point you're about to send the text, you pick up a text she is sending to someone. And it says to that someone, I think I'm being followed. Head towards the big cat pens. Okay?
I'm just going to fire that over to Dylan and Karl.
Because you still have the earbuds. You're in perfect, endless communication. What one of you hears, everyone hears.
But this is something I'm seeing because I'm locked into her phone. So,
of course.
Yeah, but I've got my phone out and look at it constantly because I'm that dude. You know that dude who's always like, oh wait, there is a zoo. I don't care. I have to look at memes.
And a text comes back saying, and you can almost hear the hesitancy in it. It's okay, return, send. Are they here? Question mark. Send. Yeah, from somebody else.
The phone number is popping up on Aggie's screen, correct?
It is.
I would like to make a hack roll.
I thought you might. You could just use the plus that you're still holding, having hacked her phone.
I could, but that wouldn't give you a chance to get more complications.
Okay.
Another 2 pluses and a minus.
Okay, well, I will. Thank you for that. I will take that extra complication, top it back up to 6. You succeed, and I'm guessing the second plus is to ask me who it is.
Indeed.
Her name is Mina Harkova. And you have her down as somebody in the Ministry of Justice, the Hungarian Ministry of Justice. Yeah?
Sounds like she's meeting a source.
Karl, I'll cut back to you. You're getting this intel. They are heading towards the big cat house, which is a central kind of slightly blocky concrete building with on this side the lion pens, on that side the tiger pens. You get the picture? If they go behind that, you will lose eyes on.
Yeah, I suppose we will see Karl just like, I don't have a view on this area, going on the ground, going to get my feet on the ground, and he just like stands up, grabs the bag, leaves some like, I don't know, 20 bucks on the table, and just like quickly like run through the stairs, and then just like go as quiet as inconspicuously as he can toward this direction. Although I'm more interested into tailing that other guy than Dylan or the target. I want to like freak him out maybe, but maybe I will be able to stay hidden. There's like awkward guy with like a big bag on his back and like a newspaper just like up to here, just like.
I was rather hoping he'd cut holes in the newspaper, but I'll go with peeking over the top. He's
kind of professional. He's trying not to be goofy.
And I'm misleading all our viewers because I've just noticed he has +1 conceal. So I'm not going to make you roll for that. You are good at this, staying out of sight or inconspicuous. So Mia, you're tracking her. You've got a little kind of, I think we probably have that inevitable scene. Where are you, by the way? Just before I say the inevitable scene.
I'm just hanging out in the utility closet for the zoo, where the power is, all that fun stuff.
Okay. So behind that door that says no entry except to staff, on the ground floor of the building where Karl was upstairs. Okay. And we have that inevitable photograph, picture of you with your screen, and there's a kind of overlay of the layout of the zoo that you've probably taken off one of their leaflets. So it's got this slightly kind of kid-friendly plan of the zoo, but then you've got this little dot, beep, 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 Yeah. Dylan, it looks like Kazouras is heading around the back of the big cat enclosure. You okay with that?
I'm totally okay with that. I'm going to follow because I think she's meeting her contact, right?
That seems to be the consensus.
Okay, so I think I will try to make contact there because there's this other guy around, and that's the one I can see. So, I mean, I'm good at seeing, but we don't have Moshe. I don't know where he got to.
Must have turned the wrong way on the way to Vienna, so he's probably hot-footing it to Vienna in the off chance he meets you at that end.
Yeah, he's probably in Vienna while all the information we needed was here. Well, damn. Okay.
C'est la vie. And then, Dylan, I will now spend a complication on each of you, I think, to have something happen that inconveniences all of you. There's a kind of announcement over the tannoy in Hungarian. And because you are tough international operators, of course, when we hear it on screen, it comes out in English, because that's what you're hearing it in. And it says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid there appears to have been a breach of security, and we have an incident involving an animal that has got out of its enclosure. Please follow the advice of staff on the ground to clear certain parts of the zoo. Thank you. And you can see, there are some zoo employees ushering people off this open space into the big cat area, and Agi Kazouras is being ushered in there by along with a group of other people that were in the vicinity.
I will try to be ushered with her in the same group of people.
Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. And it feels like they're being ushered, and people are saying, yeah, go that way. And then people pick you up on the other side of the building. Just go that way. Karl, you've got a picture of the guy that was also following Kazouras. It doesn't look like he's been as clever as Dylan. It looks like he hung back, uncertain what to do when those alarms, or was somehow distracted by them, or chose not to follow Aggie into the building that is at the center of the big cat enclosures. What do you want to do?
So Aggie, someone is trying to usher people out of the area where Aggie is.
Aggie was out in the open, and people are ushering not just her, but other members of the public off the kind of open spaces into a building, into the big cat enclosure building. And Mia, your little beep, beep, beep will show her going into that part of the zoo. Okay. So but the guy who was following her has not gone in there, and I'm just curious whether that influences Karl.
Is he out in the open? Is there some toilet nearby where someone can push him into and question him, or is he just standing in the middle of the open field?
I think he's standing on one of these pathways running through the zoo. It's now cleared, and Karl, would you roll surveil for me? Because I'm just curious how you interpret what you then see.
Not very well. A plus and a minus. So fail and a minus.
Okay, now your surveil is 2. You can always push yourself by spending a point of stress to add to change one of those for another plus. If you want to.
Nope.
Okay. Then he's loitering, but he's not really near anywhere particularly convenient. I will tell you it's slightly surprising because it's now like this area has cleared apart from him. and you know, about 50 yards, 50 meters back. Other people went the other direction, back towards the restaurant shop complex where you started out. Okay.
Yeah, I guess Karl would see him and would point to one of the zoo personalities ushering people, and just like say in like he's like faking English a little bit, and he's saying, "Oh, sir, there's one man who's in the danger zone over there. Maybe you should get him as well."
Oh, thank you very much. And he goes up to him, heads towards him. I presume you stay where you are, watching on what will happen.
Yes.
Okay. I'll cut back inside the big cat building, where you can observe the cats from indoors. And there are, I guess, 2 or 3 of these zoo employees, Dylan. And they seem to be ushering people in different directions to spread them through the various emergency exits that will take them out the other side of the building to presumably safety, inverted commas. You've got eyes on Aggie Kazouras, and she's being, you know, you go that way, you go that way, you go that way, and she goes that way with 2 or 3 other people.
I will try to get up to her and maybe just ask her, like, have you any idea what this is about? Because this is a perfect moment to start a conversation, because this is unusual and it's kind of normal to say, hey, what's going on?
I think I'd like you to talk soft, not because I want, you're not trying to convince her of something, but I want to get a feel for what you can interpret from her response.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 1+ and no complications.
Okay, I think I can tell you that when she turns to you, she says, I don't know. And it's almost like she can't be bothered to answer your question, because she's clearly tense and nervous. Yeah?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't mind. I'll just glom onto her and follow her.
Yes. Okay, Mia. I'm going to give you access for nothing to the zoo CCTV, and you can see people coming out the other side of the big cat building. But the beep 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 still seems to be in the building. Karl, the zoo employee, has approached what we've taken to be the suspicious looking man, and kind of says, "Excuse me," and he puts him down with one. The zoo employee is on the ground, and you can see the guy who put him there kneeling down on the top of him. What do you do?
I suppose they're in the open. I suppose, but they're not. But now I don't think there are that many people. I think Karl would quietly approach the guy.
There aren't many people, but there is CCTV. Just to be, because Mia's got the CCTV, but there is CCTV recording. Just go ahead.
Unless Karl wants me to kill it.
That's up to you. I think Karl quietly approaches the guy and stands behind him, and just to let the guy feel the barrel of a silenced pistol at the back of his neck.
Now let's be clear. You're 50 meters away. You've sent the zookeeper to intervene, so you've got 50 meters of space from the point when the guy goes down. The guy is standing over him now, is pulling him up into a sitting position and about to do that. What do you do? Because you're not going to be able to sneak up on him across 50 meters and intervene unless you move very quickly.
Karl has a little problem with his bum leg, so I suppose. So I suppose we see spy style, just like a silenced pistol comes in, and it's like couple of shots to the back of the guy's to the guy's back.
Fine. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, well, we are after all trying to protect the civilians over here. 2 pluses and a minus.
So on a plus, you do indeed put a shot into him. For the second plus, do you want to put a second shot into him, or do you want to keep it for creating some narrative advantage or some fictional positioning for yourself?
That really depends if he's still standing after the first one.
Okay, fair enough. I think that after that one shot, he spins, he sees you, and I'm going to use that complication that I have to have him throw himself flat with the zookeeper between you and him. So what do you want to do with that extra plus? You can take him out, but you are likely to hit the zookeeper.
I think
Moral quandary.
Yeah.
Is there any support I can provide with the CCTV feed?
You can certainly erase this if you've got time. You at the minute you're just using it to keep an eye on what's going on. Yeah, but you could hack into the server and kind of undo this recording.
I was asking, is there anything that I can see on the CCTV feed that would allow me to give any kind of advantage to Karl?
I'm struggling a bit, to be honest, because the zookeeper is between Karl and his target.
Maybe there's a lamp or something hanging over him that Karl could shoot down and would hit him on the head without hitting the zookeeper.
I think there absolutely is. I tell you what, there's a large banner advertising the new tiger display, the new tiger exhibit. And that second plus could just go through and cause this to come down on top of them both, buying you some time to do something else, Karl. How does that feel?
It sounds really cool. Not sure if I'm still able to, if I will still be able to save the guy, the zoo officer. But yeah, I shoot the banner, and as the banner is falling and covering his view and my view on him, I just like quickly rush toward him.
Fine. I really hope it's not a vampire, because if it is, you just gave him a blanket to feed under.
And just to be clear, he was desperate enough to just use the zookeeper as cover. He'd let go of the neck break. Yeah. Mia, the other thing you spot on the CCTV is as other people are issuing the far side of the animal house, still Aggie is still beep, beep, beep inside the animal house. Dylan, you're being ushered on down a corridor, and you're sticking close, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not only sticking close, I'm keeping an eye out, because this feels like a trap. And if it's a trap, then somebody sooner or later will show up with a gun or something, and that's when I have to move with Aggie, and I have to move quickly. So
surveil, I think, is what you're telling me.
I want to surveil the hell out of this place. Yeah, I've got a plus and 2 minuses. Let's see if I can do anything with my training, which is primed. I can do a flashback. No, a primed flashback. I have primed. So I could re-roll one of my minuses, which I will, I guess.
And remember, it can never get worse.
It didn't. So I've got 1 plus and 1 minus.
Okay. As you're being ushered through, the last kind of zookeeper before this bit of corridor that you're being ushered through, he's very substantially put together. I'll give you that for your plus. And there's something about his stance that is really familiar, but it would take a second plus to really be able to pin down where you've seen that stance in this kind of effort to not lose track of Aggie as she heads off down the corridor with 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have time to put together where I've seen the specific stance. I'm not a martial artist anyway. So I've got a gun. Whatever stance he has, unless he's on top of me, that won't help him.
Okay,
Probably.
so you follow Aggie, and I'm going to use that minus.
I think I should talk to her at that point.
Fine. So you're going to grab hold of her and.
No, I'm going to go up to her. I won't grab her. She might know martial arts. I'm just grabbing her. She's nervous enough to break my arm. I need my arm. No, I'm going up to her and say, hey, I don't think Mina's in here, but that dude over there is terribly interested in you.
And as you turn back down the corridor to look at him, you see him operate a lever in the corridor, and a large mesh door closes off the corridor between you and him.
Okay.
And you can hear something else further down the corridor, a similar kind of as another gate is opening. What do you do, Dylan?
As Aggie is with me, right?
Yep.
Cool.
So are 2 other civilians.
Yeah, I don't care about them. I care about Aggie, but I'm not throwing them to the lions. But I'm saying, scratch the. What is he going to do? I think he just opened the. Is that the tiger or the lion cage?
It's the tiger cage.
I think he just opened the fucking tiger cage.
And he's heading away from you out of the animal house.
Of course he is. I'm saying on the intercom, hey guys, I'm gonna cuddle with the tiger now.
And as he walks away, it becomes absolutely crystal clear to you where you've seen that stance and that movement before.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Zalozhiny you encountered beneath Odessa.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I will convey that to him.
Ooh, so you're telling her that she's just been locked in a tiger cage by a vampire?
No, I'm telling the Karl and Mia. I'm not telling her.
Right, okay. Yes.
I don't know how much
because
she
she's
knows
so
about
far away that she's not going to hear any of this.
Well, she might hear that, but I'm telling it to you in, I don't know, some other language she doesn't understand.
How much of the zoo is controlled electronically?
Sadly, not an enormous amount. That's why you had to drag on that lever to activate both ends of this corridor, which, now that Dylan is in it, looks less like a corridor and more like the connection between the open tiger pen and the indoor bit of the enclosure where they bed down. So not an obvious IT solution to that door. Not enough money's been spent on the zoo. And I'm burning a complication on Mia to make that a fact. Karl,
so there's nothing I could do with power or anything like that?
Power, you could, I don't know. You tell me. What have you got in mind?
Well, I'm wondering if there's any, for example, puddles, electrical wires, things like that, that Dylan could use to create a barrier. I mean, I like animals, but I don't want Dylan or our source getting eaten by tigers, and I would rather electrocute a tiger than see Dylan eaten.
Okay, so you are gutting the plans of that part of the zoo, looking for where you could direct Dylan to an electrical conduit that he could access.
Sounds fine.
Something like that? Okay. Karl, you're getting this feedback. You are now standing over the struggling mass, just as our friend, the burly, and as one arm comes out to clear this banner away, you can see the classic Bratva prison tattoos on his arms. And he's clearly in some difficulties because you've got him in the shoulder. So what do you do as he's struggling out? You're about 2-3 paces away from him?
Yeah, I suppose we see Karl just like as he's clearing this, Karl probably just like grabs his hand, twists it to get the guy away from the zoo guard, if possible. Yeah, and having heard that, Karl knows that the time is precious. This guy is probably just a problem. So I think we are going to see twist the hand and then just like twist the neck as well with the other hand, because I wanted to question this Bratva guy, but we already know what's going on. So
fine, and he goes down like a sack of potatoes. The zoo guard, you can tell at a glance, will recover shortly. He's just stunned. It's going to give him a bit of a shock when he wakes up next to a dead member of the Bratva, but we'll worry about that, his post-traumatic stress disorder later. You've had this message come from Dylan.
Can I help this guy wake up?
Zookeeper will wake up, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we see Karl just like quickly, because he's a medic. I think we clearly see he takes something from his like emergency med kit. I'm not sure how this is called in English. It's like something to make people like wake up from like being just stunned. There's something, I have no idea how this is called in English.
There'll be some stimulant or something you could give him to spring hurry.
Yeah, because I really would like to acquire this guy's help and just like get him up and say, quickly, there are some people locked in the tiger pen. We need to quickly help them.
Fine. He will come round quickly. You'll tell him, and he'll go, and he's on his little radio. There are people in the tiger pen. I'm going there now, and he's racing ahead, being a well rehearsed emergency zookeeper. Dylan, you are thinking about some stuff, perhaps, because a tiger has appeared at the far end of this corridor.
I have a trademark that's called vanishing from an uncomfortable situation. I think that qualifies as an uncomfortable situation right now.
Now, I don't think we've ever seen this in action before, so I'm just curious. It sounds like this is a move trademark.
Yeah.
You know, it's able to spirit yourself away physically from an uncomfortable situation. Am I thinking right?
Yeah, this is actually the, oh my God, shit is going to hit the fan, and Dylan doesn't actually, not really.
There's a vent in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All I need you to do is, you will have 4 pluses if you use your trademark.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Your move is 1. So with one of those pluses, you can get through it. With the other 3 pluses, you can take 3 of the 4 people in the corridor with you.
And the last one gets eaten. Okay. I mean, the other idea I had was there is something called a job flashback. What?
Yeah. If you think you can come up with a narratively credible flashback that would suggest there was a way to get out of this without doing what you're currently doing. So it's usually a way of describing some way to approach the problem differently.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I have an idea, because we are in a zoo, and maybe there was, let me tell you about the jaguar thing, because there was this sheikh, and he had jaguars. He loved these, and they were fucking dangerous, these beasts. Yeah. But if you wanted to get into his files, you had to get them somehow rid of them. And it was easier in the end than I thought it would, because these beasts, they dislike certain smells. They really do. So Dylan knows about cats and what they like to smell and what they don't like to smell. So I'd say he just packed up some stuff that you could throw, and then a tiger would go somewhere else, because these are tigers. Okay, they will attack if they're pissed or if they think that their territory is invaded, but they're probably not super aggressive.
I I think the narrative likelihood, even in a genre like this, of you having packed tiger repellent is
No,
quite
it's
small.
not it's not tiger repellent. It's actually some sort of smelling stuff like bear. There's this bear pepper spray smell thing, and this is a zoo. This will work on most animals that go with smell.
What I'm going to suggest to you is that it's human urine that delays tigers.
Yeah, great.
Which is great because you always have that with you.
It's true. I don't want to do that. Let me have some sort of chemical repellent because I think that's gross. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What if it's just Dylan's
X-Card. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd try it. Fine. You have a combination of maybe it's some of those smelling salts that Karl used to bring the guy round. And so you throw those down the corridor towards the tiger, and the tiger backs away. And I think that will buy you time to get the fourth person out, if you want. Yeah, I think that's fine. And so you're in this ventilation duct. Karl, the zookeeper has disappeared into the big cat house. What are you doing?
Just putting this big banner on the dead body and just like following him because I'm going after him to help Dylan.
Fine. You get into the kind of the central space of this from which you can observe all the pens, including now some jaguars. There have to be some jaguars present, and all the cats are getting because they're all scenting something funny's going on. But what draws your attention is one large person in zookeeper outfit holding your friend the zookeeper off the ground by his neck. What do you do, Karl?
Gosh. So we still don't know of a way to dispose of them.
What you know is that they can be harmed, but killing people helps them recover from harm. And what's really interesting is he's holding this guy off the ground, but it's kind of like he's got him ready. He's not yet squeezing the neck enough. Looks like he's keeping him as a reserve, if you will. The other thing you know is that there is supposedly some lost Orthodox mass or rite that can drive off Zalozhiny, but you've got no idea what that is.
Yes, that's what I was referring to. We didn't yet get to it.
No. I'm just responding to a wish last week that people wanted to encounter one of the more powerful beasts. So here's your Zalozhiny, Karl.
Yeah, I suppose we see Karl just like unzips the bag, comes out the automatic shotgun, and just like aims at the Zalozhiny holding the guy. Just as we see him like release the safety, and he says, "So are you going to put him down, or do you want me to blast both of you?"
Meanwhile, in both your ears, Mia is reporting back, I think, that she's tracked down the main electrical conduits, and you should see them in red kind of plastic tubing wherever they are. They're marked in red, just for reference. Okay, I think that he will walk towards you, almost daring you to shoot at him, because he now brings the zookeeper around in front of him. What do you do, Karl? He'll be at you in about 3 steps.
Yeah, it really sucks to be the zookeeper. Like, really, I think we see the buckshots and a fair mix of slugs just like going through the guy toward the Zalozhiny that is hiding behind it.
I mean,
Like
if you rolled enough pluses, you might be able to hand one of those over to avoiding the zookeeper. But let's see how good that because my guess is that you're not standing still. You're moving to one side to try and get a shot round the side of him. So let's see how well that goes. Oh, we lost Sabine. I'm sure she'll come back in a moment. So I think I'm seeing 3 minuses there, Karl.
Yes, of course. I think I will spend my training to reroll one of them, because why not? Well, at least now it's only 2 minuses.
Do you want to push yourself? I will remind you all that, of course, your hang on, was that a message from Sabine? Oh, Sabine's telling me her internet has just failed. I'll just say, I've told her that we'll keep our fingers crossed that she can get back in. But otherwise, hang on, I want to change the view now. That's not a very sensible view. There we go. So, Karl, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think we're gonna leave this result as it is.
Okay.
You're not going to take the stress? I mean, could he treat himself to get rid of the stress?
Well, I mean, I will remind you all that all of your symbol, solace, and safety are re-cleared at the start of every session. So you have the option with your symbol to get 1 stress back, and with solace, with a flashback, to clear 2 stress. And remember that consequences are, their narrative. They are in effect 2 extra bits of stress, but they won't disappear without some more significant treatment. But to be honest, this is the last session. If you're left with a couple of consequences at the end of this one,
okay, I will take a stress to. So how did it work? I can now change this minus into a plus.
That is exactly how it works.
Okay, so I think we see Karl just quickly strafe to the side and put those slugs through the hand that the vampire, that the Zalozhiny is holding the guard. We want to get this guy out of the picture, but preferably keep him healthy or at least kind of alive.
That's fine. I think that the way I'll play that then is that for the plus, you hit the wrist of the Zalozhiny, and he loses his grip on the zookeeper. But I'll use the remaining minus to have him leap at you. Yeah, so he's now in your face. So we're in fight rather than shoot now. So Mia, I'm going to give you access to the CCTV both in the tiger pens and inside the big cat house, so you can see this happening. Tell me if you want to do anything else. There's anything you think you can do. Dylan is making his way through the vents towards freedom.
Are there any conduits near Karl?
There are several around this room because there are lots of brightly lit displays. The idea is the room is kept dark, so you can see out into the pens. The animals can't see into you, but there are some illuminated descriptions of the animals and their habits.
So let me ask you this: can I blow any of these conduits remotely in a way that would hit the Zalozhiny but not hit Karl?
I don't know about that. You can certainly. I tell you what I'll do. Let's see how the first round of fight goes, and in a dramatically appropriate way, if Karl were to jam the Zalozhiny back against one of these, I'd then see whether you could press the explode button. Does that seem fair?
Fair enough.
Karl, he's in your face. You are fighting it. I'm guessing you fight back.
Yeah. I suppose that he knocked the shotgun from my hands, and we each of us like rolled on the floor a little bit, and we see Karl just stands up with like a Bowie knife, and we get like a flashback to Karl in his like preliminary training before joining the commander units, where he was just like in a ring, like in a ring fighting like three guys with a knife fight. So we see that he knows his way around the knife.
And I think that would allow you. I'll give you the choice. You can either reprime your training with that flashback, or we can go straight from that flashback. Oh, yes, reprime your training with flashback. Do that. Then I think we see you knife fighting, and we see you ghosting from place to place. Just trying to avoid the blows of the Zalozhiny. Trying to keep your distance from him because he wants to get in close. And that at the end of this will allow you to also have primed your discipline, but you won't get the benefit of that discipline in this fight. Okay.
My discipline is toward conceal. I think there's nothing about being cool and concealed when I fight the vampire. I'll need to prime it somewhere else. But
I was interpreting wrongly. Go with fight then.
Yeah, but why not use this cool moment? I'm trying to picture how can I change the context and not yet blow one of these conductors.
I think there's no way to do that before you engage in the fight.
Well, we definitely are engaged. We are definitely engaged.
So that's why I need you to roll the dice. Let's see how the first round of fight. Welcome back, Sabina. Hope your internet is all right.
Yeah, I have to use a different internet. So.
Oh yes, you have two different internets, just in case.
I have two different. Yes, because I am that kind of person.
So, Karl, I think I need to see this first round of engagement, and then you can tell me you throw him into that corridor over there.
Okay. So this one goes quite well. It's 3 pluses.
What a winner! So you succeed and do 1 point of damage, and you can do another 2 points of harm to him by jabbing the knife into him repeatedly. What are we seeing here?
I think we see that Karl knows that it's very tough to kill these things. So I think we see. I'm going to spend one of those pluses to pull the lever and start opening this like super heavy door. My plan is to maybe next round like shove him and just like lock him with this heavy door. So one of those pluses goes to like having a moment to just like pull it and it's like starts opening.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, go for that's great. So you're not going through there with him, I take it.
No, I'm just like opening this like heavy door, just like pulling the lever so that it is opening, and then maybe use it in the future. And I think I'm going to spend the second plus to somehow position him. I'm not sure if Mia communicated to Karl the plan, but I'm going to spend I assume kind of yes. So I'm going to like through my knife fight position the Zalozhiny just as close as possible to anything that Mia can blow up.
Fine. So what I've seen then is you've knifed him as well as shooting most of the way through one wrist, and you've now grabbed at the lever, and then you've thrown him against one of these display panels. Mia, can you hack that panel to overload it neatly?
I'm going to spend stress.
Okay.
I'm going to dump 2 stress in to get rid of those minuses.
Okay, so that turns your 2 minuses into 2 pluses. For 1 plus, it explodes, doing harm to the. I've never thought about how much harm an electric shock does as a Zalozhiny, but I'm going to give it 2 harm for that first one.
It depends on what the conduit is. I mean, this would probably just straight up electrocute a person.
Yeah. So and if it was a person, they'd now be probably unconscious.
They'd probably be dead, but
yeah. What do you want to do with your second plus? Or do you want to invest that in damage as well?
Is there anything else in this room that I can do with that plus?
Short of telling me that as a result, the Zalozhiny stumbles to the far side of the tiger restraining gate, for instance.
Well, that certainly sounds fun. Do tigers like eating vampires? Let's find out. It's a science experiment.
Yeah. So the Zalozhiny stumbles away from this, spins away to get away from the electric shock, and stumbles across the threshold into the corridor from which Dylan has recently escaped. Karl, what do you do?
I think with him still kind of electrocuted, I think we see Karl grabs the guy's leg, pull him on the floor, puts the knife through the leg to like stab to like position him slightly, like to pin him to the floor, and then just like closes the door on the guy's leg and the knife, and then just yeah.
Okay, well, that's quite a complicated maneuver. So let's see how that goes as fight, shall we?
It is. Not sure if I have enough pluses for all of those cool things.
I really hope so.
Oh wow. 3 pluses and a minus.
So 1 plus pins the leg to the floor and does harm.
Ow.
Yeah.
Second plus.
The second one closes the door on him.
On his leg.
Yeah.
And you hear the bone snap. What do you want to do with your third plus, Karl? You have a degree of narrative control.
Could Karl assign that plus to the tiger?
You have a degree of narrative control.
Yeah, I just don't having any idea of how to invite the tiger to feed on this Zalozhiny.
Perhaps the tiger is curious and wants to Siegfried and Roy a vampire?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that those smelling salts that Dylan smashed on the water are probably now dissolving into the puddle that we also described in there. And so the barrier that it formed for the tiger has probably dispersed. And now there is something in its space. You have a degree of narrative control, Karl.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say that I just like, I just like smash his nose as well, so that hopefully it's bleeding. And I'm saying, well, you might be impervious to bullets. We will see how well do you fare against some really large teeth. And we hopefully see the tiger approaching as the doors are closing and crushing his bone on the leg, so that he will have a hard time escaping.
He will have a hard time escaping, and you will see him crane he's lying on the floor, so he's craning his neck back as you hear this go, pad.
Ooh, does the tiger chuff?
The tiger chuffs. And then there is a lot of kind of off screen. Do you stay to watch, Karl, or do you make a swift exit with or without the zookeeper?
I think there's like a large enough mess. I I will probably like start searching a way toward the exit, and just like get on comms with Dylan. Dylan, I left our friend toward the tiger. Do you need any help getting out? Should I get the car already?
Oh, no, we're already out. We're standing here and taking pictures of ourselves, actually, because we have managed to escape the tiger.
Just don't leave any evidence, Karl.
And after we've done that, by the way, Alan, I will steer Aggie away from the rest of the group.
I'd like to do a quick hack to clear the CCTV cameras. I won't make you roll for that. It's fine. Okay. That's easy peasy. Because there's a large kind of server box there that you should plug the thing, the right connection into. So I think I'm going to cut to Aggie Kazouris's safe house. Yeah. I noticed doesn't time fly? We're enjoying yourself. It is 8:50. Can I suggest that we take our first 5-minute break, 20 minutes late, I'm sorry. And we're back here. Is 5 minutes long enough?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Back here at 5 to the hour. See you then. Sorry about that. Inconsiderate parker outside. Somebody thought it was my car, but it's not.
So I still have a +1 for Aggie's phone, right?
You do.
Okay. Just making sure I'm keeping track of the stuff.
Oh, sorry about that delay. We had somebody knocked on the door. They thought I'd parked to block the lane, and it wasn't my car, it's somebody else. So I've just left them a nasty note. Okay, so I think I said I was going to cut to Aggie Kazouris's safe house. But as is my wont, I would like to insert a cut scene here, please. I'm going to cut to an expensive hotel suite where your friend and mine, Josef Lisky, he is, because I love him so much, he's on a telephone, and he's saying, Mr. Gusev, hello, I thought I'd ring again. I just wanted to check the information that you provided, that you were confident that the individuals I was talking about were heading to Vienna. Yes, that's what Mr. Happy said to you. Yes. Turns out, Mr. Gusev, that wasn't true. They have caused me some difficulties because of the information you passed on to me, Mr. Gusev. Yes, I do. I appreciate that you were just simply passing on what Mr. Happy said to you, but you have to understand, Mr. Gusev, that life is too complicated for me to worry about those kinds of details. And in the background, we will hear shouts and screams and automatic fire. And then Lisky says, "Goodbye, Mr. Gusev," and he puts the phone down. I just wanted you to know that Joseph has noticed that your activities are making life complicated for him.
At least we don't have to kill Gusev, so he doesn't have to work for us.
Yeah, that's one piece of revenge you can tick off the block as somebody else's job. So yeah, let's cut to Aggie Kazouris's apartment. We have a picture of Aggie Kazouris, just for reference. And Aggie cannot thank Dylan enough for saving her life from, and she will have shared with Dylan that I was expecting trouble today, but not that kind of trouble, because as far as she's concerned, she's just been caught up in a terrible accident. So Dylan, what do you tell her on the way to the safe house, perhaps?
Remind me what we know that she knows.
She's a journalist and blogger who blogs on crime and its impact on Hungarian society. And 3 months ago, she wrote in her blog something about what the Lisky Bratva were up to in Hungary, and named Josef Lisky and Dr. D.G. Dorjiev by name.
Oh, wow.
Her blog since then has been rather irregular, and it's clear that she's been going from one safe place to another safe place, sofa surfing here and there.
Yeah, okay.
But she does appear to know quite a bit. Well, she seems to know something about the Bratva or its activities.
Oh, then I will just keep it on that level. Like I will tell her that the Bratva, they are obviously they have a sense of humor, but well, I hope we aren't going to encounter lions and bears on mine, because we already have the tigers.
She doesn't know what your interest in this is. What are you telling her? Cover story? Are you telling her the truth?
I am telling her something. I'm pretty good at talking, so I'm trying to keep it vague what my interest is. I mean, I'm an operative. Obviously, I was there for her to get her out because I and some friends of mine. We have questions, but I will try to keep it vague as to what we are. I mean, it's should be pretty clear that we are either not government or not official government. So it's
been established that I've had some sort of contact with Aggie. Does she know what I look like? Or has it just been emails?
I think it's just been emails.
Okay. So I can sit there quietly tapping away on my phone and just listening, and she's not going to know any wiser.
I don't think so, unless you wanted to. So Dylan, I think I'd like you to talk soft, please, to roll to talk soft, just to see how much she will open up on the basis of that slightly vague backstory you give her, or allow how she'll fill it. Oh, you're muted.
I have 1+ and a complication. I think that's what this.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on a plus, she will follow that. But I think the complication I'll throw at you is that before she opens up in a very solidly journalistic way, she'll want to know what's it worth to her in terms of, that press prize that she really would love. So what can you tell her?
I can tell her what it's worth to her. It's worth her life. Because these guys, they aren't playing for fun. As you saw, they were trying to kill you. They weren't after me, they were after you. And if you tell us what you know, there's a chance at least that these guys might be taken out. It's probably the best chance you get.
I think that the good cop just morphed into the bad cop. There's more than a little hardness in that bit of talk. So would you roll to talk hard, Dylan?
Well, that's true, but I will roll to talk hard, of course. Okay, that's 2 pluses and 2 complications.
Okay, I'm going to take one of those complications for later. Cool. You succeed with the 1+, and that kind of, I think she knew that they might try to take her out. But you've brought home to her the fact that actually this was an assassination attempt. The theoretical idea of them looking for her has now become very concrete. What do you want to do with the 2+?
I think I'll hold it, just to watch her, just to read her a bit, see what she's having, just to see when she's holding back. Okay.
Well, I think that on that basis, she will share what she knows. And she knows a lot of what you have found out if you take the supernatural out of it. So she tells you what you already know about the Bratva having very wide area of control, being very well in with local governments and local criminal arrangements. She has taken a particular interest in their people trafficking, and she knows about Baldak shipping as being the medium for that, though she can't prove it. But she's got, people have told her stuff. But the thing that she tells you that you didn't know was that that the Bratva is not entirely uncontested in Eastern Europe. The Serbian Mafia, the Nasas are powerful south of here into the Balkans. And she knows that there's going to be a meeting between representatives of the Lisky Bratva and of the Serbian Mafia to agree. They appear to have had some kind of working arrangement, which means that they avoid one another's territory. This looks, from her contacts, she thinks that this is a meeting that is likely to try to not just make sure the boundaries are clear, but to establish cooperation across those boundaries. It feels like the Serbians want to become a destination for some of the people being trafficked, and maybe firearms as well. And what they can offer is another source for the Bratva's money to be laundered. That's what her contacts are telling her.
Okay.
And you don't think at this point she's holding much back, but I'll leave you with that plus.
Which of these is less bad? I mean, which is easier to contain and control?
Of the two organizations?
Yeah, because, I mean, it may come down to which evil you'd rather live with, and which evil would you rather have fill that power vacuum should one of those organizations be taken out?
I think, Mia, would you roll to know? Let's see what your contacts or your records tell you about the Serbian Mafia.
Jesus fucking Christ. I am going to burn... I'm going to go ahead and burn 3 more stress. And, ooh, that'll give me a consequence.
Yeah, sorry. 2 sessions ago, when you told me that you felt that you weren't having to use your symbol and solace or anything like that, I reduced stress back from 5 to 4. Sorry, I should have told you that.
Did I say that? I don't remember saying that. Right, so I am describing the consequence. I think the consequence I'm feeling is more like a varying degrees of uselessness in that last operation, because I was sitting somewhere relatively safe while Dylan was risking getting chomped on, and Karl was risking getting chomped on, and I was just sitting in there, with some wires and whatnot. So
I like that.
I really wasn't pulling my weight there.
So that moves your stress to 4, and you're going to come up with a punchy way to describe that consequence, yeah?
Guilt-stricken.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. Which will, that will convert 3 of those pluses, 3 of those minuses to pluses.
Ooh.
And some emails, some messaging, some contact with various Eastern European CIA operations will tell you, I think, that what they tell you is that the Serbian Mafia is just a mafia. You get none of those kind of peculiar things that led to the conclusion that the Lisky Bratva was backed by the vampire conspiracy. So they don't appear to be vamp infested. Do you want to ask me questions for those second pluses, or do you want me to to just keep on talking?
Talk. I'll keep those 2 pluses in reserve.
Okay. Well, I'm prepared to talk in return for one of those pluses. Because what I've given you is the answer to your question.
Yes.
They are not the vampire conspiracy. So if you were looking for lesser of 2 evils, the Serbian Mafia appears to be the lesser. But if you want to know more about them, you tell me, and I will happily talk as you spend pluses.
How can we keep them away from the really awful stuff? Like I don't care about drugs. I don't care about weapons smuggling. I want to keep them out of human trafficking.
I think that that would be very tricky, because they are already in it in a small way. They just the Bratva has a pipeline from the Middle East and the Far East coming through Turkey, which has been exacerbated by all the events in Afghanistan and Syria over the last decade. And so the Bratva have a pipeline that would feed the Serbian Mafia's existing people trafficking. So the only way to keep them out of this would be to shut down the Bratva. Yeah, that's a difficult answer to that question, but it is the best answer that you can get. Do you want to spend the remaining plus?
Anybody have a question you want answered?
Yeah, but that would be a question to Aggie.
Basically, when and where is the meeting, and we can crush it, and that's it.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
you can get that from Aggie. You don't need to burn the CIA information. So you can keep that plus if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
keep it and see what we can, what we have when we get there. I think maybe our best option is to try to get these two parties attack each other. I mean, they're mafia. They're not really trusting guys or people like that. If something goes wrong, then it will all go to hellfire.
But we need to get it done in a way that lets them know the kind of firepower they need to bring to the table. Because if they show up with like 9mm and they're just trying to pop at them with Glocks, that's really not going to get the job done if they're bringing the Zalozhiny.
So do you have a contact in the with the Serbians? We might let know that that there might be something fishy about the meeting and that they should bring heavy firepower just for insurance.
Are you asking me or are you asking Aggie?
I'm asking both of you. I'm asking everybody who might answer that question with a yes.
Aggie can tell you that it's going to take place at the it's a restaurant called the Golden Calf, and it will take place tomorrow night. So you have a night and a day before that will take place.
But here in Debeken?
Yes.
Can she give me any names or anything like that I can use to start hacking?
You still have a plus on what your CIA contacts can tell you.
Alrighty, let's burn it. I want information here. I want to know who I can put the word to that this is a setup for them.
Okay. Let's say that the CIA's Albanian desk have been they routinely track members of the Nasasvar and share that information to and from with Europol. And so I think that they can tell you that they have two names of senior members of the Nasasvar who are known to have traveled north into Hungary.
Okay.
They are Todor Babic and Rudy Marco. And I don't need you to hack to find out more on them. I'll give you a quick pen picture. Todor is the older, more senior in the operation. And he's known to be quite religious. And he's known to be a hard bastard. This is a man who emerged from the Baltic Wars with very bloody hands and a lot of Milosevic's money, and that money's been ploughed back into the criminal organization. So he's quite senior, but he's
very religious.
Yes.
Is by any chance he Orthodox?
He isn't.
Okay.
He's Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Marco?
Rudy Marco. He's from the younger generation of the Serbian Mafia. So he's coming up fast. And some of the kind of caution, if you will, that the Serbians learned in the aftermath of the Balkan Wars, that was how to keep your head down and get the job done without people noticing. That's not as well founded in the new generation. And so Marco is known to be a bit of a show-off in terms of the money he has. He has a definite eye for attractive young women. And he has a very fiery temper. If one of the CIA guys has written in his file that don't mock Marco, he will shoot you. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that seem like a useful pen picture? So with all that in mind, what are we thinking?
I'm thinking that we need to get Dylan a sit down with Todor with Karl on Overwatch.
Okay, I can do that. I can tell Mr. Babic that there might be a chance that stuff was going to go wrong.
Okay,
Now,
let's.
do I need to roll to give Dylan info that allows him to kind of vet himself and make Todor believe him?
Well, let's set up a set of job clock obstacles for this, right? The outcome you are wanting is to get Dylan to have a sit down with Todor, I get the sense, on his own.
At the very least, I would like to get Dylan like 5 minutes with Todor in a place where they can speak without being overheard or tapped or have that information get out.
Yeah,
So,
he can have his bodyguards or stuff like that. He will have that with him, but
okay, well, let's. So one of the obstacles to that scene happening will be bodyguards. Okay, I've put those in the obstacles.
they're actually not the obstacle. I don't
What
like bodyguards. The obstacle would be that I would have to look like somebody who has that information, who is willing to sell.
Okay, so so Dylan needs to,
I need a cover.
yeah, look and sound the part. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we can worry about what that part is in a moment. Karl, what are you seeing as an obstacle? I'll remind you all that the idea of this, you setting up the obstacles, is that it is an opportunity for you to set up an obstacle that you as a character can have the spotlight in overcoming.
It sounds like we need to find them. Like I don't think we know where they are. Although it's yeah, it's a very bad obstacle for me, but nothing else comes to my mind.
Okay, so where is Todor Babic? Question mark. Need to find him before you can con him or talk to him. Mia, what about a final obstacle?
I see two, and you tell me which one is more relevant or interesting. Getting Dylan the information in the first place, and then the other part is making sure that Dylan can provide that information in a way that isn't picked up by cell phones. Basically, just like putting a cone of silence around Dylan to get that information to Todor.
Explain that. I mean, you know, if we end up with Dylan in a hotel room or in a coffee shop with Todor, what are we thinking? I'm not quite getting the cone of silence thing.
Basically, every device that we have is a surveillance device at this point. I want to make sure that Dylan gets in and out without being Dylan has the information to give him that is convincing and actionable, and also that none of these devices that none of the surrounding devices track Dylan going in or out, or that basically I want Dylan to be invisible going in and out.
Yeah, but why? But why? What does it matter? We want to give him a warning.
Because you don't want the Lisky Bratva getting that same warning.
But if the Lisky Bratva understand that these guys are coming, but they are coming heavily armed, the Lisky Bratva will be nervous. That would be good, because we want these two to be at each other's throat.
But we want these guys to win, or at least do a significant amount of damage to the Lisky Bratva, because it makes our job easier.
Okay.
We want them at each other's throats? Yes, absolutely. This is a less bad organization. We want them to be able to do more damage, so we don't have to do as much.
Yeah,
but we don't want them to win. We want them both. I mean, ideally, they both take each other out, but we don't want a power vacuum.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, cool.
And the sense I get then is that no one would be able to trace Todor's information back to Dylan.
Right.
Yeah.
or to whoever Dylan pretends he is, because he's not going as Dylan H from Germany, because that would be foolish.
Mm-hmm.
So if I write down here, Dylan needs to get away without leaving a trace.
No traces works for me.
Is that what? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Dylan needs to look and sound the part. We have yet to say what that part is. We need to know where is Todor Babic, and we need Dylan needs to get away without leaving a trace. So let me ask the question first then. How are we going to find out where Todor Babic is? It was your suggestion, Karl. What have you got in mind as an approach?
I suppose this nice journalist can probably tell us someplace where this Serbian Mafia operates. So we would see Karl very Mission Impossible style, just like opening a window, sneaking inside, searching some documents left at the desk, downloading information from a laptop left there with the guy just like who was like choked out. It's a very infiltration.
Can I suggest? I mean, I think Aggie's told you all she knows about this meeting, but it seems to you that it is likely that the local police will know who's coming to town, because the working assumption we have in all of these sessions is that the police are in somebody's pocket. So either they're in the Bratva pocket and they're keeping an eye on the Serbians, or they're in the Serbians' pocket. Either way, they know. So I'm going to suggest that what you're talking about is getting into police headquarters.
That sounds far more awesome.
Yeah, let's cut Mission Impossible style to Karl. Are we talking about breaking in or stealth to just go in the front door?
I think that before we cut there, let's use this very unused skill that I have, and let's have a sit down while we plan it, Karl and Mia, and just like have a little discussion. As Karl is saying to Mia, hey, I notice you are kind of like keeping to yourself. Anything that weighs heavy on your conscience right now as we are going to this really risky part of the mission?
I feel like I let you down back there at the zoo. You and Dylan you were out there in the line of fire. You were out there like you were in danger. You were directly in the line of harm, and I was tucked away in a closet, and about all I could do was tell you what I was seeing on CCTV. And I feel really shitty about that. And if you ever tell anybody that I admitted that I felt shitty about something, I will fucking stab you.
Hey, I've seen you beat me up in the sparring, so I totally trust you. But hey, we didn't plan on taking down this Zalozhiny to be there. It just came up, and from my point of view, you provided a very crucial part of the job. Like, without him being kind of electrocuted, it would be really hard for me to get him through the doors, pin him to the floor, and leave him for the tiger to feast. So even though you were far away, you did a very crucial point of the job. So don't hold yourself down. We are a team.
Thanks. That coming from you, that means a lot.
Karl, let's see just how much that meant. Would you like to roll to treat?
Yeah, let's see those 4 minuses. 2 minuses and a plus, so a very bad result.
But it does mean that Mia's stress drops from 4 to 3. It doesn't help with the consequence. She's still feeling guilty, but she's feeling less guilty. And being less guilty means that she is less likely to buckle under the strain. But because we used quite a lot of Mia's complications up earlier, I'm going to bump them back up to 6 with the other 2 minuses. Okay. Anything else you wanna do pre-op?
Well, might as well hit the solace since my stress is super high as well. So I think I don't have to have a day to spend at home, but I think just as Karl is like getting ready to get inside the police station, we see he opens like a locket that he has on a chain, which contains like a folded image of him and his wife, and we see like a little house somewhere in a village in Poland, and and maybe we see him like grab a phone, just like open like log into like some secret phone drive and just like leave some message to her, and she just like text the box and then just like have like a text chat, because it's important to keep secrecy. And then he just like sends like hugs and kisses, I hope to be home soon, and just like,
where are you, comes the message.
I can say it's better that than that you don't know.
How long is this going to go on, Karl? Question mark.
As long as possible. I'll try to keep it as short as possible.
But how long will you be away, Karl? You're always away, Karl. What answer do you have for your wife?
I think he just like sends 3 hearts and that's it.
Oh, that's cold. That's cold. But it does get him 2 stress back.
I wanted to say he gets 2 more stress.
Yeah, it's just a different kind of stress. Anyone else want to do anything pre-op?
Yeah, Sabine and I both want to do flashbacks. Do you want to go first? Okay.
Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I want to do a flashback because I need to clear some more stress. So it says, once per session, a day with whoever matters most to you clears the stress track. Flashback clears 2 stress. So unless show is around, because I don't think we can squeeze in a day at this point with the planning we've got to do. So it's got to be a flashback, right?
It does, I'm afraid. And to be honest, I think that's a rule that needs looking at, because it just doesn't make sense in the high octane flow of action that this is supposed to be about. So yeah,
you can't get a day. Are you kidding me? You might get a phone call,
or you could flash back to a day that you spent and get 2 stress back.
Well, and that's what I'm looking at. And I think what happened is that not long after her mother disappeared, Mia had a day walking around the canals of Venice with show.
How is life, Mia? Says Show.
She didn't even leave a note. She's just gone.
Look, Mia, we've had this conversation before. Your mother's been coming and going most of your teenage life, let alone your adult life. It's what she does.
I know, but this time just feels it feels different.
What do you mean?
Right? Normally, there was always a note somewhere saying, hey, I'll be back. This time there was just nothing. I mean, there wasn't even a hint of anything.
You
And
still have contacts in the agency. What are they telling you?
Nothing. It's like it's like she doesn't exist now. I mean, it's the type of disappearance that would be difficult for any intelligence organization in the world to pull off. And
yeah, but you and I
she
both
disappeared.
know that there's a shadow CIA behind the one that we see. Couldn't she have just drifted the wrong side of that boundary?
At this point, I don't even think you could find her. And you taught me a lot of what I know, and I picked up a few things, well, from other people along the way. But even with your surveillance apparatus, even with everything that you know, I think that you'd have a hard time finding even a trace of her. And it just... You remember when we met and she had that freak out?
Oh, yes. I thought she was insane. But I think that might have been just me revealing that shadow CIA.
I mean, accurate, but, still. It just makes me wonder, what if she decided that she'd had enough and she went to some location where it wouldn't really be noticed and she could just vanish like she tried to that day?
Well, look, Mia, do you want me to try and find her?
If you can do it without tipping your hat, without letting anybody know that you're still around. Yeah.
Look, Mia, you're probably the closest I'll ever have to a daughter. If I can do this to help you, then of course I'll try. I'd do almost anything for you, Mia.
I really appreciate that. And the best part is I know I don't have to say, hey, keep this to yourself. Who are you going to tell?
Yeah.
You've been dead for 5 years.
Yeah. And, you are the closest thing I have to a daughter, and you're the only person that I would call a friend.
Yeah. Same. Hard same.
Scene close?
Yeah.
Fine. Recover to stress. Dylan, what do you got in mind?
I want to prime my training again because I think I might need it, actually.
You're about to pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah, so I have a particular flashback in mind, and it's as Dylan is putting his disguise or his new identity back together, he flashes. He comes across his keychain because I don't know if I can recover stress and flashback, but I still want to have this because
I'm very happy. I'm very happy to combine those things.
Kind of triggers the flashback as he looks at that and remembers we see some sort of a boardroom, and we see Dylan in a suit, very fancy suit, looks very powerful suit. He's clean shaven. He has a haircut that looks like it had cost about $200 or euros, probably euros more likely. And he looks like a banker or something like that. And like a successful or CEO or anything. And he then some handler person comes in, probably a guy, older, heavy-set. And now we have this dialogue in German, but with subtitles in English so that everybody can understand it. I will spare you, Karl, about it. What are you doing?
You know, I can get as far as Wie geht's, Herbst?
Yeah, that's not bad. It's actually it's more terse. It's like, are you ready for that assignment? And it's pretty clear that this kind of guy, he's a superior and he doesn't much like Dylan. But Dylan tries to be professional about it and not be too snarky. Because that doesn't fit his personality right now. His personality is right now is the bank guy, and these guys don't do snarky. They maybe do kind of like, yeah, you're nothing but dirt under my shoe, but not snarky.
I think the guy who comes in, he says he tries to bait you. He tries to get a reaction from Dylan, but because Dylan's in the zone. When he says, "Oh, you look like shit, Herbst. I don't know why we keep putting you out there. You're an absolute liability." But Dylan's in the zone.
That's because I'm good and you're not. But the scene, to end the scene, I just want to have a brief flashback. It's when Dylan picks up the keychain, and the older guy is saying, "You're not going to take that," and Dylan says, "Hey, I am going to take that."
And that's fine. So I've already primed your training, and you can certainly use up your symbol to recover a point of stress. Yeah?
Cool. I'm feeling very unstressed going into this.
Yeah, very relaxed. You're in the zone again.
Yeah.
So anybody else want to do anything else before we start the op? Okay, then we cut to Karl.
Mm-hmm.
What do we see as Karl? You know, there's this. It's bound to be. You know, I'm sure that when the Soviet Union kind of retreated away from Eastern Europe, that Debeken was left there like this. You know, a selection of brutalist concrete public buildings. So one of those public buildings is the local police headquarters. Describe to me what we see as we open on this scene.
We probably see that it is evening. Only a couple of rooms are probably like having still some light, and we see Karl just like with one hand hanging to the like rain pipe outside the side of the building, dressed completely in black. We see his beard because the beard is like not covered. And
it's the just beard that is his trademark, really, not what he does. It's the way he looks. Yeah,
we need to know that who is there. Oh, it's Karl because of the beard.
Even in the dark, against a faint light, that profile is absolutely, by this point in the audience mind, is absolutely fixed. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we see him like cutting a hole in the window, and then just like quietly taking this like piece of glass out, putting his hand in, opening the window, looking inside, and then just like climbing inside this room with like some computers, some documents.
This sounds like infiltration.
Yes, it is.
Let's see how close to that description we get.
A plus and 2 minuses.
So success. Again, because I sense some kind of climactic confrontation coming up, I'm going to take 2 of those. I'm going to take one of those complications for later, but I'm going to tell you that when he leans in, he can hear someone walking down the corridor outside this office. What does he do?
Yeah, we see again from a spy movies, he just like moves and stands just like behind the door so that if someone enters, he can like quietly put him to sleep, and he waits either the person will get in or move on.
This is a terrible time, but I have to. My wife's just called me from upstairs. I don't know why. Can you just give me 2 minutes? I'm so sorry to break at that point. Bear with me.
What a tension reason we see Karl hiding behind this door, and his footsteps getting louder and louder and louder, and the doors are opening and kind of like squeaking.
And then you hear a telephone, a ringtone.
Bird,
Ding, ding,
bird,
ding, 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 ding.
bird.
And then the guy who entered just like, yes, do you have to call me like just this moment? I'm about to enter the archive. Like, what do you want?
Or maybe it's like, yes, no, I'm going to bring the axe. Yeah, of course. No, I love you too. Yes. And he's
No, it isn't
walking.
just the maintenance or the janitor for the night janitor.
Yeah, maybe it is, but he can still have a wife that calls him and wants some stuff from him, or maybe a kid. Like, oh no, tell Katya she can't have the car. I told you 100. No, I don't care. She is pissed. She can't have the car. What is she wearing anyway? Oh, come on now. 21st century, my ass.
My apologies. She apologizes. She'd forgotten I was playing. Family complications, eh? So I'm really sorry. Right. So Karl, I see you behind the door, and it's dark in here. And of course, there's a kind of frosted glass panel in the door, and we see a shadow come to it and listen at the door. I think I need to know how well hidden you are behind the door, Karl. Roll for conceal, please.
Of course. A plus and a minus.
And you hear he says, David, are you there? And then we see a hand come down on the frosted glass, and it looks like he's about to try the door handle.
Yeah, I think Karl just probably pulls some papers to just fall on the ground to make the impression that the guy needs to get into the room. Yeah, we are luring him in to knock him out. You are muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Sabine, you play too much with me to know that that's going to happen when I get excited. The door handle, we see it turn. We see the door open, and he leans in, and what happens?
And we see Karl just grabs the guy, puts some kind of a needle in onto his arm, and just say, sleep tight.
That sounds like treat to me.
Oh yeah, a cool extra use for this awesome skill. Yeah, let's go with it. Two minuses and a plus. We will never break the circle of not having minuses.
With that plus, he goes down and you gently lower him to the floor. But I'm going to spend one of those minuses to tell you that there is a good chance that when he doesn't arrive back where he came from, someone's going to come looking for him. So there's a bit of time pressure. So what do we see Karl doing? And I'll just take that minus to help me later.
Yeah, we probably see Karl just pulls him in, just gets back into the room. Yeah, where do we start even? He takes a flash drive, sticks it into some computer, allowing some maybe Mia to hack it directly, and he just starts opening the files on the desk, and just with a mini camera, just click, click.
Yeah, and I'm going to assume that we know which office this is. David Romanov is almost certainly the Lisky's man inside the police department. And
yes.
So I think that while Mia is downloading stuff from his computer, I think Karl, because Karl's no fool, Karl isn't necessarily expecting this to be found formally somewhere written down. reminder to self, Todor's staying at. But I think he will find in the bin beside David's desk a scrunched up post-it note which says TB Hotel Imperial. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Karl gets out in no time at all. Okay? Thank you for that. Okay, so we know that Todor Babic is staying at the Hotel Imperial. What do we want to do next?
I kind of feel like Dylan's cover identity comes next, because basically what I need to do needs to get done while this is going on. I need to kill cameras and things.
Yeah, that's right.
So Dylan, what's this cover identity you're going for?
Okay, cover identity. What I need here is somebody who has a need to offload information and has a need to offload information very quickly. So I think what I need to go for is some kind of actually low level, whatever, we're in Hungary, right? Some kind of low level Hungarian operative, like a secret agent person.
Yeah, I do know. For some reason, I thought you were going to go for Mr. Happy, but I'm very content for you to go for somebody else.
No, I'm not going for it. I'm not going to pretend I'm Mr. Happy. Also, he's been burned right now, right? So I could. Yeah. That's totally
We've caused him enough trouble.
Yeah, okay. He has to take care of these orphans. No, that's terrible fate already. So okay, no, I'm going to be some kind named.
But on the positive side, like the word spreads that he vanished, and that then you can appear to be him, and you can say, well, see how the Lisky Bratva treat me. So.
Yeah, it's true.
Or you could just say Mr. Happy is a name that's passed on and inherited.
And Mr. Happy has a motivation to go after it, so it's Lisky Bratva. And he has a motivation not to be in his home place anymore. It's probably.
Don't we still have pluses from Mr. Happy to do stuff with?
I think you did have a plus in hand for an equipment drop, but I think Happy's position in the world has shifted. I doubt he can live up to that now if you called him, even if you would pick up.
I don't need any equipment drop. What I need
I'm just thinking we might need a missile dropped on somebody. That's all.
No, yeah, we might need that yet. But Mia, can you get me his phone number on my phone?
Can we just assume that happened?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you've had lots of communication with. Oh, sorry. Do we mean Todor Babic or Mr. Happy?
No, Mr. Happy. That if he has the phone number for Mr. Happy or one of them, that it reroutes to my phone.
Yeah, he can absolutely clone Mr. Happy onto your phone. That's just
nice.
Routine.
Nice. Okay, so I'm going in to pretend that I am Mr. Happy. We don't look much alike, but we don't look totally dissimilar. So if that was his mother or somebody who's closely acquainted with dear Vladimir, I wouldn't be able to fool him, but somebody who has seen him in maybe a hotel or has a vague description of him, which is probably which is probably the thing that most people have, I will be able to fool them. Yes, exactly. I will have these sunglasses. And I have to shave now, okay. But I can wear a fedora.
Oh yeah, I think you can get away with fedora. Because this picture doesn't quite show what hat Mr. Happy was wearing. So I think, you've got free reign.
Yeah. No, but fedora seems to fit the thing, right? This kind of Mr. Smith. And of course, I'm not going to call myself Mr. Smith, because that will be weird, because we have Karl Smith and Mia Smith. If I'm going to call myself Smith now, that would be Smith overkill. And I'm already feeling like I'm in the Matrix. No, I'm Mr. Happy, and I will arrive at that hotel and find some goon.
I think it won't be difficult for you to identify members of the Serbian Mafia. Inconspicuously loitering around reception. they are much less good at any kind of concealment than Karl, and so they really have cut holes in the newspapers.
Yeah,
They are goons with a capital G.
I will walk up to one of them and hand them, I think, 20 euros and say, hey, I'm here to speak to Mr. Babbage.
Who are you? What do you know about Mr. Babbage?
I'm Mr. Happy. It's my job to know things.
I think this is talk soft, isn't it? Or are you going harder? I'm not.
No,
you seem to be on the line there.
This is soft right now because I haven't even threatened him.
No, exactly. Fine. You've offered him money. In fact, that's definitely soft.
That's definitely soft. I've got 2 pluses and 2 minuses. And I think at that point, I will take a point of stress to turn one of these minuses into a plus, just because I don't want a lot of complications here.
No, and I think that the only complication you have is that he will want to take more money from you.
Yeah.
But that's not a problem. So you have 3 pluses as a starting point for how Mr. Happy are you. And I think the first success is he takes the money and he makes a call. Yeah, says he's Mr. Happy. Yeah, the guy from Tisipol. Yeah. When he looks at it, I just spent another plus for, he looks just like him. Yeah, it's him. And you've got a third one in hand if you need to pull something out of a hat, so to speak. And he gestures across reception, and 2 guys, one who's been sat next to the lift and another guy comes and puts you in the lift with the pair of them. And they're stood behind you, these big kind of guys, and there's Mr. Happy, and he ding, 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 all the way up to the top floor where there are 2 suites, and I think at this point I probably need Mia. I need to know how well Mia's hacking is going.
Well, by my clock, we have half an hour left in the session. So it's probably ending with the meeting between the Lisky, Bratva, and the Serbian mob. In that case, I'll tell you exactly how well my hacking is going. I am burning my trademark.
Went the crowd. If it has security, I can crack it. Fine. So 4 pluses. So you own this hotel system for 1 plus, and you have 3 pluses to spend when you need it. Okay.
I think one of the pluses is that I actually own the hotel now.
No,
I changed ownership.
Oh.
I tease.
Very good.
Although if I don't need all 3, I will actually own the hotel.
Yeah, you if you got 1 left at the end, home free. Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like whenever you want to tell me that you've done something with the system, you have 3 things you can tell me. Is there anything you want to tell me so far?
I mean, Dylan was never here.
Dylan never came into that lobby. Fine.
Yeah. I mean, the CCTV is displaying a loop of the goons just sitting there, and it's going to keep showing that for approximately an hour before to 2 hours after Dylan leaves.
Fine. But you've made sure the timestamp keeps ticking over, so it's ideal. Okay, so you've got 2 pluses left. Dylan, opens the door, and you're in a plush hotel corridor with just 2 doors, one on either side. They take you to the left-hand door. There's a knock. Door opens. 3 or 4 more goons inside, and sat behind a large desk is the guy that you would recognize as Todo Babic. He's a man in his late middle age now, I think, but he has, his hair is thinning, cut short, and he's a cheap man in an expensive suit. And he looks at you and says, Colonel Shevlenko. you've weathered well in recent years.
Well, I attribute that to clean living and God's good graces.
Ah, Colonel, you still have that happy, jokey self, eh? Come, share a drink with me.
Thank you. I hope it's the good stuff.
I don't know what the national spirit of Serbia is, but there are certainly some bottles of it available.
I think Slivovitz is Croatian, but it's close enough.
Fine. Serbian Slivovitz. Glug, 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 glug. Big glass. To old times, happy. To old times.
To all times, Todor. And I cheer him.
So what brings you to this God-forsaken place?
Oh, you know, some things sometimes happen. Climate change, you've heard of that. That makes a man seek out happier pastures, so to speak.
So you've left Tirsapol.
Yes, it was getting boring. And then there were all these Bratva guys running around like they were owning the place. And it was just not the same anymore. And you are muted, my dear friend.
The eyebrow goes up, and he, at the mention of the Bratva, he says, "Oh, I didn't know you dealt with the Bratva."
I do not exactly. These are boring people. They are boorish, and they always come on too strong. You know, you go in, you think you have a nice little talk with them, and then suddenly they go overboard with aggression and things like that. They are not like civilized people, not like old school gentlemen.
Really?
Yes, it is
But
the fact of,
you
the
know,
fact
we live in changing times, Colonel. All of us are using methods that even 5 years ago we would have thought were uncivilized.
Yes, well, I hope that you are prepared to be very uncivilized in the future, just so you will stay in the game.
I think that he's interested, but I think that you get the sense that he feels you're dancing around something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something you want to tell him, but somehow you don't want to tell him. So I think he will say, is there something you want to tell me, Happy? Or are we bargaining here?
There is something I want to tell you, but you know the business I am in. It is an information. I think you might be able to use it. Actually, I want you to have it, but I have a reputation to uphold.
I think I see where we're going, Happy. And he glances across the room at one of his lieutenants, and says, "See what we have in petty cash." And the guy comes back with a briefcase, and he opens the briefcase, and Todo reaches into the briefcase and takes out a wad of euros. Says, "As a sign of goodwill, Colonel?"
I love a sign of goodwill, my dear old friend Todor, and I will unashamedly pocket the money, as I've seen Mr. Happy do on several occasions. I must warn you that the Lisky Bratva, you know, they are not nice people. I have it on good authority. They are a lot less nice than anybody could be expected to think. I do not know if you heard about the thing in the zoo with the tigers. They were trying to.
Yeah, we did hear about that. Some zookeeper was attacked.
Oh, yeah, they tried to get rid of a journalist.
And he kind of looks as you have to say, "Well, we've all done that, Happy."
Yeah, Sure, but
You get the
I
feeling that
heard you.
so far you're describing his
Yeah.
business to him.
Yeah, I know.
I would
I'm
like
just
to maybe-
worried.
I would
I'm
like
just
to
worried
suggest
too.
something.
Yes, go ahead.
Go on.
Maybe Karl is inconspicuously being placed in the building next, just next door, and I'm just picturing, because we obviously like talk about it. He's either aiming a sniper rifle at the Hotel Imperial suite, or he's like aiming like a camera with like a listening device also, and Dylan can like point it that. You
Or
see,
both.
they're like one of both. And just like a vector for Dylan to just like politely expose Karl inconspicuously there, and just like say, hey, they don't even keep you like off the leash. They're like monitoring you even now, which is
Okay.
nice.
I'm going to mark Karl's job flashback, because that wasn't something we thought about, but I think it's good to put in now. Okay, so we've seen Karl break into the office block opposite, and Happy Stroke Dylan knows where he is.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going saying, look, not to dance around it. I think they are setting you up. I say they're watching you right now. There's some guy over there. They are not dealing in anything like good faith. If you go in there armed for bear.
That lieutenant who brought the briefcase over, just nonchalantly wanders over to the window and appears to admire the view. And on this occasion, Karl is so blatantly obvious on the rooftop parapet that he's having to try hard to be this visible. And the lieutenant turns around and just walks across the window, just drawing the blind as he goes. And Todor, and Todor reaches into the briefcase and puts another wad of money in front of Happy. That was very generous of you, Colonel.
I don't like the Lisky, Bratva. I really don't.
So what?
And I like you.
So what exactly have they done? Because this is a side to take here, Colonel.
Yeah, well, they've taken the other one. Wasn't my choice, but.
Do you give him something concrete of what?
Yes, I was just. They were trying to take me into a monastery and throw me down into a well to some kind of crocodile or something. I am pissed, Todor, at them.
I mean, that's quite a story, Colonel.
It's a long story.
And I think the impression he's creating is, that seems so fantastical. That there's a crocodile in a monastery, and the Bratva tried to feed you to the crocodile. That you get the sense he wants some corroboration, because he believes the observation, he believes the threat, but now you're trying to tell him that give him something, corroborate this.
Yeah, well, the monastery at Dragomir, it blew up because I have friends.
And I think that probably will then lead to some phone calls while you share a couple of more drinks. And the lieutenant comes back and says, yeah, we've just talked to some friends in Romania, place in the Carpathians, lit up like a, poof.
I was there. I know.
What were they doing there? It's apparently it's a monastery that's been abandoned for decades.
Look, they dragged me in there. There was a well. They tried to throw me into it. There was something down there. I think a crocodile. I have no idea. I didn't go down the well to check it out.
Okay. Thank you for this friendly information, Colonel. we'll take it as solid advice and think about how we respond to that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see that, but from a distance, from a very great distance. I have pocketed the money, and I will take my leave then.
And we have seen. Fine. We have about 20 minutes left to play, and what I'd quite like to do is there anything that you want to do at that meeting in the Golden Calf to initiate what Dylan has now primed? Because I think they are, the Serbians are now primed to react strongly if things take a turn. But I'm just curious whether you now have an explosive device. I just wonder if you're interested in lighting the fuse.
Yeah, I'm just like really curious what we should do, because if we attack them during the meeting, this could like consolidate them to work together. I was just wondering that we could blow up one of the warehouses belonging to this, or somehow attack the Serbians at the other point, and fake to be there from the Lisky Bratva.
Yeah, a single sniper, not quite well placed shot at one of the heads in the
and
discussion.
A not very well concealed sniper trying to take one of them out during the meeting when they've already spotted a not very well concealed person watching them.
Yeah.
I think the idea of doing anything outside the Golden Calf is going to require you finding more intelligence, and I think, given where we are on the clock, I think the intelligence you have is all you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm inclined to say that I'll just set up the Golden Calf. The Golden Calf is a very flash restaurant. It's on the upper floor of a very swish apartment block, the best in the town. It's probably built in the last decade. All mod cons, and they've imported a French chef. It's all very, very, very shishi and high class. And the Bratva arrive first. So who's observing what from where? I tell you what, it's on the floor above the penthouse in the Hotel Imperial. Much simpler.
Maybe I don't actually own a hotel yet. I'm still on a laptop in the van.
And I dare say, observing the restaurant via the CCTV for that final plus.
I've only used one plus.
Oh, I thought you'd used two. Okay, you got one more left. Oh no, hang on.
CCTV. That was the
one
first
to own the system. Oh yeah, one to clear Dylan going in and out. Yeah. The third one is this, and you cashed in your trademark. I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Okay. So you still have one left. You could still own a hotel. Karl, where are you? As if I didn't know.
Well, obviously the place on the outside side is blown because they must have like cleared it. So I think just to prove that something is going very wrong, while our friend Todor is at the meeting, what we need to see is probably Karl is like pretending to be the hotel staff, and he kind of gets into a scuffle he's going to lose, and the goons are going to find it on the trolley. Instead of food was like a bomb or like something, just to point out that Lisky were going to that Bratva was going to like take them out after the meeting or something like this.
Okay, so I think that given the warning that Mr. Happy has given Todor, Todor will arrive as agreed with Marco, his second representative, and just two goons. And a couple of guys turn up from the Bratva. Sadly, not Joseph. But two of his lieutenants turn up again with two goons, and the Bratva think that this is all very straight. But what Todor will have done is to put 5 of his men in hotel uniforms on this floor as backup. And he has carefully placed himself so that he's a bad target from the window. So they've arrived a little bit early. Dylan, what do we see, if anything, of Dylan at this point?
Yeah, well, they're at a restaurant, you said. So they have a new waiter, I guess.
So Dylan is decked out as the what do they call it? Maitre d'.
It's gotta be the chef because the hat.
No, I am not.
Chef hat.
Yes, lovely. No, no way. I am not the chef. I'm not the maitre d'. I'm just some guy who runs around bringing water to people and is generally unobtrusive and can have a concealed gun on his person.
Of course. And Karl is, somewhere off scene, backstage with a trolley and a bomb.
Yeah. Like, it's very hard for me to picture like how we can make them fight themselves at the meeting right now. It's very hard for me to picture Karl over there. So I want to say that Karl is like a floor below where the BBB, what was his name? TB? The
Babbage,
where the Babbage suite is, and he's trying to get through his security with the trolley with the bomb, and he will obviously be found out and he will escape, just like pretend that he was like trying to plant the bomb.
Yeah, fine. So I think that's where we start.
Mm-hmm.
I think we start with Karl arriving with a gift for Mr. Babbage from Josef Lisky.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So I think I need you to infiltrate, please, Karl.
Okay. It had to be like a, yeah. Mark the dice. Oh, look, it's corroborating. It's 2 minuses.
It's 2 minuses. That's perfect. So the guard says, well, I need to look under the, to see what there is. And there's a big arrangement of flowers and fruit basket and chocolates and stuff. And he says, well, no, I need to look in there. What does Karl do to that? The first minus is he didn't let you through. What do you want the second minus to be, Karl?
I think the second minus is that as the Karl is obviously protesting that no, this is like a special dish for Mr. I'm forgetting his name, Babbage. For Mr. Babbage, you can't just look on this, but the guy just like anyway, like where just like pulls up, it's like a big something. He pulls up the cover where was the food supposed to be and he sees this like a large, huge, like a taking explosives or something, and at this point, it's like Karl just like sends him a punch and like tries to like run away. And
fine, I'm going to resolve that as a single roll. I think it is move to run away, because certainly what he's also noticing is that Karl is putting on a bad Russian impression of a Hungarian accent.
Well, doesn't go well.
He's going to catch you unless you do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to take 1 stress to turn one of these minuses into a plus. So I have 2.
Fine. And I'm going to let you get away scot-free with that. And meanwhile, he's rushing this into an elevator and pressing the down button, and then you can see him on his telephone. Dylan, we cut upstairs where there's a friendly conversation going on between the Lisky and Todor and Marco. They're complimenting one another on everything they've done that's terrible, and they're having a classic bad guy monologue to one another. And then one of the goons, the lieutenant with the money previously, takes a call, and he just leans down beside Todor, and we know he's saying, "They tried to put a bomb in your apartment," and at
that point, I will get very nervous. Like really nervous, like fumbling something, some glass falls, like, oh my, and I look at the Babbage and like, oh my God, they're onto us. And then I look like, oh my God, help me at the Lisky guys who probably won't know what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. And it's not totally obvious, but it's not subtle.
I think that's talking hard badly.
Let's see how that goes. It's my dice are still turning. Oh, I've got 2 pluses and a combination.
You are convincingly unconvincing.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of look at the 2 Lisky goons, and it's almost like you're shouting, "They're on to us!" Yeah, what do you do then, Dylan?
I'm waiting a bit for a reaction, but I'm inching closer to.
I think that you see Serbian hands going inside their coats. The Lisky are slightly confused about what's going on. They why is this waiter sending us these signals? And they're looking at you, not at the Serbians. So what do you do, Dylan?
I'm losing nerve. I'm losing my nerve. Oh my God! I'm looking at the Lisky guy, the boss of them. Like, I'm sorry, and then I'm running out and maybe mumbling something about my wife or something.
How many elevators are in this building?
Say again?
How many elevators are leading up to this restaurant? Is it
I think there's probably only one that goes to this, because I think there's one that goes to the penthouse suite and it continues up to the restaurant.
What are the other exits?
There'll be a couple of fire exits, staircases. And then once you get below the penthouse, there are a number of elevators.
Dylan, are you going down the fire exit?
If you think that's a good idea, I was actually trying for a staircase, but fire exit sounds fine. I mean, it's
just not the elevator.
Okay. I won't use the elevator.
Yeah, because we know what the Bratva guy put in the elevator and pressed the down button. Mia, what do you do with your remaining plus?
I'm waiting to see what happens with everybody else first.
Okay, so Dylan is running down this concrete staircase.
No. Dylan is running out of the room and waiting to see if something happens, if somebody pulls maybe a gun.
They're already in motion when you start to run. And because the Serbians have got the drop on them, that one of the negotiators and a goon is dead by the time you reach the door.
Then I don't have to do anything anymore. I just go. Or get out and let's maybe wait and see. Unless somebody's chasing me. If somebody's chasing me, then I'm running.
Mia still owns the CCTV.
Was that explosive? Was it set up and ready to go? Is there a clock ticking on it, perhaps?
It's up to us. Like I let it as open for us because I don't know. What do you want?
Mechanically, Mia still has a job flashback to use. Mia, what do you want to use that flashback for? Because Karl made it up, but he made it safe, so it wasn't going to blow up in his face. But
I mean,
Might
C4
Mia have just checked it before he left the van with it?
Once again, let me hold on that. I want to see how all this is going to play out first.
Okay, well, there are shots now. The table's been flipped over. There's a small gun battle going on in the restaurant. But of course, because Todor was expecting this, he has 5 goons in staff uniforms who are now getting to the other side of the Bratva. And the Bratva are being shot to pieces. Yeah?
Did they send people or did they send vampires?
Todor sent people. And it looks like the Lisky have apparently done this perfectly honestly. But that is the point when 2 windows smash in and 2 large gentlemen in black overalls and sunglasses and balaclavas come to the rescue of the surviving Lisky negotiator. What do you do, Mia?
I'm going to burn my job flashback. That explosive device is real, and it is rigged to blow.
And am I to conclude that despite the fact that the Lisky, the Serbian goon downstairs who pressed the down button on our elevator, can I make a rash assumption about where that elevator has finally got to?
You said I own the hotel.
Indeed I did.
So what we have is an actual explosive device set up with a remote detonator and doors opening. And I mean, it's going to do a significant amount of property damage, which is one of the reasons why I was holding off, because I was either going to own the hotel or I was actually going to own the hotel, but I don't want to own a hotel that's had a floor blown off. You know what I mean? I mean, who wants that? It's the kind of renovation nobody wants. So with any luck, Todor will survive. With any luck. But, you know, when you've got
he has had an opportunity to take deep cover because he's the most senior person, and Marco is the one doing most of the shooting over the table.
Yeah, well, Marco's useless and he can die.
And can I, just for the sake of dramatic counterpoint, suggest that that we cut to a Serbian goon looking at the elevator that he sent down. It went down 1 floor and it went up another floor. And we cut to inside the elevator where Muzak is dun 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 dun, and we see it go, you know, restaurant floor,
ding.
I just want to suggest that Mia has this trolley with the bomb on the control that it can move, because and that she can ride it into the room, and so that the toddler will see it and can get out.
So a remote controlled
trolley.
Right.
Why not?
This is an action movie.
It is.
Maybe I can drag Todor out. I mean, I'm somebody totally different, but
let's worry later about Todor. What do you do, Mia?
Well, since I own the hotel, I'm pretty sure I can put something over the sound system and just plug it in and say, "Surprise, motherfuckers!" Boom.
Presumably in Russian.
Well, of course, because we all speak that language in this movie.
Of course. It's a compulsory CIA course still. Mm-hmm. And so there is an explosion, and the 2 Zalozhiny who've just landed in the room, we see them look at the negotiator. They head to protect him. We see Todor look to the lift, dive for cover, and then and out of the fireball that emerges from the side of the building, we see 2 Zalozhiny thrown backwards out of the window and plummet 18 floors to the road below. Yeah.
Splat.
Splat. I have an epilogue, but I would quite like to offer you some epilogues because I think that's difficult to beat as a kind of end point. Yeah. So shall I start with Mia? This could be immediately afterwards or sometime. What epilogue do we want Mia to have?
I think this is sometime later. She's sitting at a cafe in a small fishing village in France, grumbling about how she could have owned a hotel. She was right there. It was so close. But what are you going to do? Sometimes you got to blow up some vampires.
No, that works for me. Thank you. Moving along. What do we see of Karl after these events?
Yeah, I think we see Karl's wife, whose name is Alice, gets into a cab, and after a moment she realizes that the cab driver isn't going in the direction he was supposed to go, and she begins to protest. And at this point, Karl just like turns and she says, "Honey, everything is all right. Like everything perfect." And the cab just like arrives at the airport, and Karl just like pulls his suitcase and pulls. I just thought that and pulls two like plane tickets, and he says, "I just thought that it's good for us to move out of this of Europe. I just thought that South America looks cool." And he says something in Spanish, and he has like tickets to like Brazil. Sounds fun.
I like that. Dylan. Oh, you're muted.
I know. I was just saying that. I was looking for the unmute button. I was aware of it. I'm still. I'm talking to my computer. So no, what we see is. I think it's the hotel we've seen Lisky previously. So it's a nice scene in the lobby. Lisky's just going in, nodding at people, seemingly not very worried, a bit more haggard than before, maybe. And then we see a courier arrive in a sort of like UPS uniform or something like that, a UPS guy. And he delivers a package and says, please make sure that it is delivered personally. And the hotel people say, yes, of course, to Mr. Lisky. And the UPS guy nods. And then he walks out and gets into his car. And we see him turning the key and the ignition, and on the keychain, it's this rainbow keychain from maybe Peru.
Yeah, and then as he drives away, there's a brilliant. If I'm allowed two epilogues, actually, the first one is Moshe at Vienna airport opening a certain locker, and inside the locker is a file, and Moshe takes it out, and as he turns away, Wing Commander Leonard appears alongside a couple of goons and says, "Thank you so much. We wondered where it was." And he takes the file away for the sequel. And the other one, I think, is probably in the ruins of Dragovir Monastery. And what we see are NATO troops have cordoned it off, and they're blowing it up systematically. And then all that's left is a corner of the courtyard where that well is located. And a guy is calling back. He's in full biological hazard. He's calling this truck back, and the truck and concrete flows into and over the well. But what only the audience notices is that as it does this, it displaces one of the bricks that make up, one of the stones that make up the wall of the well. And what appeared to be an inscription that ran all the way around the well is now broken. Roll credits. Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed that. We crammed a lot into that last session. Congratulations on kind of keeping the pace going. I've run over time, so have you got 5 minutes for Roses and Thorns? Yeah. Okay. Can I start? Sabine, any roses?
Yeah, I have many roses. Roses for everybody, for Karl, and I'm too tired just to reiterate what happened. I'm sorry, but I like the fight with for Karl getting the Zalozhiny. Yes, woo! I like that, and being a totally unobtrusive guy with a trolley with a bomb. That was nice too. And to Mia, may she ever own all the hotels that come across. I will really one of these days I will meet her again. I will fucking give her a hotel. Maybe it's a small one, but I will.
Thank you. Pavel, any stars? Roses. I get them confused.
Roses. Let's to you, Alan, for keeping this well paced. Roses for the team for taking out one of the Zalozhny's early in the game, and then for taking another two. It was pretty awesome, this combination. But the bomb, trolley blowing it up. So roses for me for doing this with the bomb. I loved for Dylan to be able to impersonate so many people, and for bringing Mr. Happy. I really like it. Yeah, it was amazing finale. Amazing last session.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it. Puckett, any roses?
Roses all around. You did a really fantastic job of cramming a lot of gameplay into a single session that, well, I think you kind of hinted at the beginning that it should have been spread over 2, but you did a fantastic job of compressing it and making it feel like it was eventful and that it actually led someplace productive and satisfying. So thumbs up. And Sabine, I always like playing with you. I'm not going to try to make you sit through a bunch of stuff. I mean, it was fun to just make you crack up with jokes about Dundee and things like that. And just that's always enjoyable. And Pavel, it was great to play with you. This is the first time I think we've played together, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it enormously, folks. And my biggest rose is to your stickability with this, because when we started, this was not a playable system. I think that it is now playable. And what you've taught me with this series is that the way to run this is to run it as a series of one-shots, in effect. You know, that there's stuff that needs doing, you do it, and there's an explosion or something happens. So I thank you for that. And certainly it paid off when I ran this at GauntletCon last week, because that went like a bomb, I have to say. So yeah, particularly, I loved that Sabine, you were prepared to have Dylan pretend to be Mr. Happy, because Mr. Happy has to be the character who returns in some form in any one of these I ever run now. Pavel, I think that the way you took out the first Zalozhiny, because I wasn't certain how I didn't think you were going to be able to do it. Part of me thought that as a group you'd go after this Orthodox mass and try to find the trigger, but you ended up doing it the nasty way, which was great. Mia, I really enjoyed your flashback with Show. Because you and I have backstory as players in a different game where I played Show and you played Mia, and so it was lovely to just be able to build on that. It's an in-joke. It's a bit self-indulgent to do that, but that was lovely. And I so wanted you to take control of that bomb, and thank you very much for doing so. Any thorns? Go back the other way. Start with Puckett.
I think by the end you got there. I think you're right in that it will probably run best as a one-shot. You might be able to get like a 2-session game out of it. Trying to do much more than that, I think you're going to either find yourself rushing to compress stuff or trying to expand it. And it's a workable system, but I think it'll make less work for you as a GM if you frame it that way, like it's a one-shot. This is your target, this is your goal, this is what you have to do by the end of this one shot. And you can do a series of them like that. But yeah, I think you're right on that.
Yeah, and in fairness, Operators is designed not for long play, it must be said. Okay, Pavel, any thorns?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the system. I think we hacked it to a playable state, but I think I'm not even sure if I will burrow through the rule book. I think it does few things good. Like I really like the idea of the specials, but it needs to be somehow fixed with the skills and so on. I like the idea of setting obstacles for the jobs, but yeah. So the system is not so good. We made it good through excessive hacking. And what else? I think in few of the roles we could have like thought of what's the stake for just succeeding, because I felt in some of the roles that just the succeed was not giving enough. We had to like spend pluses to get anything out of the role. But yeah, that's what I had.
Thank you. Sabine.
Yeah, one thorn to my stupid internet. But I was aware that it might fail me today. I was playing a lot, and I'm on a data plan. I have 2, but I have to switch to the other laptop. It's confusing. I'm gonna move sometime soon, any time, whatever. Yeah, about the system, I think this was a lot of fun, and it worked, but I don't know if it worked because of the system or despite of it. I mean, we hacked it and it worked, but what I think we all got left with lots of complications that weren't used up. So I don't know if that's, it is okay. I like that. I like that you didn't say, oh, and now I use all your complications and suddenly 70,000 vampires drop on you and you all die. That would have felt bad. But I don't know if that system with the complications works all that well.
I wouldn't disagree. I think that we've made this playable.
Yes.
And maybe I'm missing the point in the rules as written, but I struggle to see how they're gonna fly much at all. So that's as I say, my greatest rose is your perseverance and your willingness to help me hack it. Whether I'll run it again, I don't know. I'm thinking I want to run some more Night Black Agents, and I don't want to use the NBA rules. But I'm not sure this is going to be my go-to.
But what I've got to say is that the room we had this time was about as bad as the one we had the first time on the minuses, and it still worked. So kudos to the hack.
Yeah, I think that we've created a fail-forward mechanism that allows you to spend, in different ways, and it did trigger Symbol and Solace and Flashback. Whizzo. So, okay, thank you. I will stop the broadcast. Say goodbye to the internet. Goodbye, internet.